Anytime I drank alcohol and believed that it just calmed my nerves, it made me feel better, I could go to court and face this person, it probably chilled my anxiety and all that. It's that I was also opening, a door for another spirit to take over. And that is why somebody ended up telling me one time that I feel like you carry a Jezebel spirit, because I would become a totally different person when I drank. So yet again, my story has been one of so much abuse, childhood trauma, and now I am understanding and learning that everything has a purpose. Absolutely, absolutely. Do not let anybody lie to you. And I'm at a place in my life at this point that I totally speak this with so much conviction. We're always built, to handle the pressure that comes with our calling, because God does not make any mistakes. And from abuse and being kidnapped and assaulted 7 years ago, and beginning to, sink in the hole that was alcoholism, I started to abuse so many different drugs, testing out, and just going all wild. I really, really thought that, my life was over. But I wasn't even ready for the next phase of my life, which was going to be me sinking deeper, finding myself in a cult. But I'm grateful that I get to sit here and share my happy ending at the end of the day, reuniting with my mother, finding salvation in the Lord Jesus Christ, going to rehab, getting clean, and sitting here 7 months sober. So, my goodness, I thought that when I shared the first part of my story, that was, the crazy part. I wasn't ready to delve into my teenage years and my early 20s, where now, it was crazy, so much abandonment, going through this traumatic incident, being kidnapped and assaulted, abused, and going through abuse even in the community, indirectly, and I found myself, coping with this whole thing. And it's not just about this one incident, but I think the accumulation of so much trauma in my life using alcohol, which was really insane, because remember, that is the one thing that tore me apart from my mom. It's the thing that made me hate her. I disliked her for it, and I wondered, why can't you just be sober? Why can't you just be like Fulani's mommy, this person's mother, and all that? Plus, don't forget, I raised myself using the television. So the picture perfect family that's put on your screen, that's what I craved for. And so I started drinking to cope. And I thought it was normal. I thought it was okay, because I'm thinking other people drink, so I guess I can also drink. I don't like the taste. And now I'm understanding at this point, it's not even about taste. It's about the feeling that comes after. And it's very important for people to be very cognizant of the fact that there's a reason these things are called wines and spirits, these shops. There's a reason these spirits are called spirits. They are spirits. When you overlook the bottle being named that particular word, we live in a world where we're so focused on what's happening in the physical realm, we forget that there's a higher realm, there's a spiritual realm. And behind every single person, there's a spirit they're battling. Behind every single person, I'd even confidently say there's an angel and a demon behind them. We have the guardians of light, the angels of light, as you may want to call them, who protect us and cover us. We have the Holy Spirit that walks with us. But let's not forget, even Paul said in the Bible that we do not wrestle just flesh and blood, but principalities and higher powers. you know? And so I really believe that anytime I drank alcohol and believed that it just calmed my nerves, it made me feel better, I could go to court and face this person, it probably chilled my anxiety and all that. It's that I was also opening, a door for another spirit to take over. And that is why somebody ended up telling me one time that I feel like you carry a Jezebel spirit, because I would become a totally different person when I drank. Over time, it progressed, into different personas, that God forbid, that we ever get back there. And so I thought it was normal. I thought it was okay. In the music industry, so many alcohol companies back up or sponsor so many events, and I'd be at different events, and maybe this company is sponsoring the event, so there's a lot of booze. And especially if I'm performing, that means on our rider there's like free alcohol, yeah. And the enemy will always find ways to just bring it closer and closer to you. And at some point my house was turning into a bar, because I have so much liquor, I'm stocking up the house. So I always have a reason to drink. I'm getting out of the house. I'm using the situation I'm in to justify why I'm drinking without realizing it. Pour, my vodka in my water bottle. It looks like water. Who's going to know? And I used to drink my liquor neat. I didn't like mixing it and all that. So it even made my tolerance just shoot up crazy over time. And so I'm drinking while I'm in the house. I'm drinking when I'm walking. I'm in town. I'll even just find a reason to go to a bathroom and just chill and just drink. Like anywhere I'm at, I'm just high. And because everybody is doing it, I've normalized it. So fast forward, this court battle, the justice system in Kenya has disappointed me. Disappointed me big time, just like it has so many people. As I sit here today talking to you, I haven't gotten the justice I feel I deserve in the legal system, because this man is out here walking freely. Yes, he is. And this is the man that kidnapped me, held me hostage, and assaulted me, and did all the nastiest, craziest things you could ever do to a woman, let alone another human being. And he's out free, walking. In fact, crazy enough, I bumped into him just the other day. I saw him from afar. He saw me. We locked eyes. But this is also how I knew I'm healing, because the fear that I had, that had consumed me for so many years, having to move houses about even 3 times a year, because I'm scared of him stalking me and finding me. And I'm like, if he's out and he finds out where I'm living, I don't know if he's going to come and kill me. Because he's upset, of course, I reported him, and he's been inside at some point. So he's out. And I realized in that moment when I saw him, I felt no fear. In fact, I just looked at him and I thought to myself, I might not have gotten the justice I feel I deserve through the courts, but God is a just God. And I'm going to receive my justice one way or the other. At first, he'd been remanded and he was held for a while. Then he was out, back in, given a bond of 10 million shillings. Then mysteriously, he's out. So it was just that on and off. And I was so scared. I felt that the justice system disappointed me, and they did nothing. Well, let me not say nothing, because the DCI guys that helped me get him into court did their part. But those who were presiding over the case and taking over disappointed me. And so they let me down. My family let me down. The community and how I was treated, let me down. And the bottle was the one thing that made me feel good. Alcohol and music. Those were my two things, the two best friends I had. And it's so sad, because even when you have people around you that want to show you love, of course I had a few people around me who were supportive of me, including my friend who took me to hospital when I was assaulted and was there as a witness in court, can back up all these things and how bad, the proceedings were and how lazy the case was handled. I'm grateful I don't carry any anger anymore, because that doesn't help. But it's disappointing to know that nothing was done, because tomorrow it could be your sister or your daughter or somebody's mother or myself again, or even my own daughter. And I spoke up because I need to help create a safer environment for even the small kids that are growing up. We don't need such people in our society just walking about freely. Then that means we can all as well just do whatever we want and not face the consequences. It was just disappointing. At the same time, mysteriously, my samples from hospital disappeared. And my evidence was things were just moving very shadily. And some things could not be accounted for. And so I didn't have like proper representation. And I didn't know how to go about it. But again, corruption in our country is something I'll always call out, because it seems as if as long as you have money, or you come from a background with wealth, or a background with power, influence, or whatever channel, to be able to buy your way through situations, it's possible. Because this guy's family seems to probably have had ways to, or connections to go around that whole situation and get my case dragged in court for so long until I got tired. And at the same time, like when he was given the 10 million shilling bond, that means you pay half, right? So that means he was able to pay the half and got out. And also another saddening moment in that season that even, catapulted my drinking even more was the fact that my step family, decided to have a sit down with this family and find a compromise for my situation, because his grandmother is begging that, the grandson just made a mistake, just forgive him, just let it go. And I'm thinking, interesting. So your son gets to do what he did to me, and I should be a good Christian and forgive. Had I been your daughter, would you have the same energy? Had it been your daughter, somebody else's son doing the same thing, would you have the same energy, asking for forgiveness and all that? Do you know what he's capable of, let alone what he did to me, what more he's probably done or could do? It was more about, what is this situation gonna do to our family image? How is this gonna make us look? You've already been blackballed or painted out as the, let me say, brown sheep of the family. But, you left my house in that kind of way. You've just been doing this music thing, disappearing, I don't know what. So already everything I've done for myself as I try to survive, from that perspective, from their side or their perspective, I've messed up on my own. So probably, this is just another continuation of the mess that I am. And I felt treated like I just deserve it, And I remember in that meeting, because it was this man's mother, the grandmother, my stepmother, my adopted father, myself. And because of the childhood trauma I've had, which has kind of affected my thinking when it comes to even me having my own kids, which is something I haven't been ready for. And at some point, I was sure I didn't want any kids. Now I'm learning to warm up to the idea and the possibility. I made a statement and I said to my stepmother, well, I'm just happy I got treated and I didn't even get pregnant. And she just said something so mean. And even the way she said it was so mean that, what do you mean you didn't get kids or you didn't get pregnant? You should be thankful you didn't even get sick. And I think even the way it was said, it felt so malicious. And it just seemed like, let's just find a compromise here, finish this story and just move along. The fact that my son is even being involved as a witness in court because of earphones or whatever, however he got caught up in this story, it seemed as if now I'm even dragging their child into my mess, and I'm just tainting their probably at that point, very good name. But you're looking at it like that. I'm looking at fighting for my life because of the depression. I no longer go to work in peace. I no longer go out. I no longer do any fun stuff. It gets to 5 p.m., 6 p.m. I'm scared of the dark because I feel like I'm being stalked, I'm being followed. I'm in the house having a shower. I start panicking and going out. I'm walking even in the house with a mwiko or the chapati roller because I'm thinking someone is in the house. I'm constantly hearing voices that are not there. I'm constantly seeing things that are not there. Like I'm going through psychosis. And so I have to drink alcohol to be able to calm down. Because now when I drink, I feel more confident. Even if I hear whatever is there or isn't there, I can fight, you know? And I can smile. I can give the good, put together, bubbly me, you know, that isn't really me anymore. And that was sad. That was heartbreaking, you know? I try and put myself in a different persona and look at that version of me. And had it been my sister or even just a friend, I would have probably handled them differently, more differently, with more grace and compassion than people, you know, dealt with me, especially my family. Let me tell you, there's a reason we're told that, or there's a reason you hear that alcoholism and addiction in general is a chronic brain relapsing disease that is progressive. Chronic is a key word right there because just like any other chronic disease, whether cancer, arthritis, or whatever, it's not something that you completely heal from. You just learn to manage and probably live with it, yeah? Scientifically, let's put it that way. You learn to live with it. So for me, I found my drinking to be a solution for a while because I didn't realize it was gonna go progressing. One, my alcohol tolerance was slowly building up. So if I could probably drink half a bottle of vodka at some point and I feel high enough, I'm good, I can sleep. So half won't be enough at some point. There's now a point I needed a 3/4. To a point now I would be downing a liter or a 1.2 liter alone in one sitting. And it just kept progressing because you're building your tolerance over time, and over time, of course, your behaviors are changing, your patterns are changing because your lifestyle won't be the same anymore. You know, it's going to affect so many aspects of your life, and it affected me physically, you know, mentally, emotionally. And sometimes I kind of feel like had my dad maybe handled the thing differently, it would have probably softened the wound on men. But the way he handled it and his reaction to it made it even worse. So I started just building this dislike and disgust for dudes, you know? And which makes me strongly believe I had no business being in any relationship. And I'm healing from that mindset of thinking that I wasn't worth anything. And if I could take it back, I believe it's because I also didn't see any healthy relationships with my parents. My mom hadn't really been in anything that honestly I could say I looked at and admired. I did not admire the relationship at all. Her relationship with both my dad, my adopted dad, Ogola, and the man she was with before that. And I also, you know, I got to meet when she was in her crazy phase. I met, you know, her boyfriend, a boyfriend or two here. And there was nothing to admire. So from my mom, I saw so much pain from the men she was around. And then I go through this. I really, really didn't think that there's anything good when it comes to relating with dudes. And it might be really insane for somebody to hear me say this, but I guess subconsciously there was also a part of me that started finding joy in hurting men. I felt that these species needs to feel the pain that I've felt because this isn't the only abuser. I've had so many other stories of so many men out here abusing women. I've seen my dad and my mom hit each other. But you see, in this moment where I'm going through my own motions, I won't really think about it as they were fighting. I'll choose the side I want to defend in that moment. And now because I'm angry at my dad, I'm just remembering more of him hitting her, you know? And let's also not forget that when my mom was venting from time to time, she mentioned that how she conceived me wasn't because she wanted, it wasn't consensual, you know? And she was only 13. So this man allegedly, I won't say I back it 100% because I wasn't there, I wouldn't know. But allegedly, the whole thing wasn't consensual, which means what? That is just rape. And if that is how I was conceived, then this seems to be a karmic flow of energy that is following me, you know? So I really did not see any value in myself. I downgraded in every way possible. And it messed with me. And so just to expand on this alcoholism journey, things took a turn for the worst. Shortly after I'd been assaulted and all that, the first thing I did was after, the whole he's been arrested and, taken in, I went to speak to the lady that I'd mentioned earlier that was my mom's friend while I was growing up. She was one of my mom's best friends, and she was very religious, very spiritual, from what I knew at the time. And I called her auntie. We're not related, but she was like an auntie, always raising me. Most times I'm sleeping over at her house when my mom is not around. Her daughter and I were best friends growing up. And so this felt like the right person to go and confide in. And I told her about what had happened, and she suggested to me that, I think you do need to seek God, whatever it is that you're battling or dealing with. Ask God to cover you and show you why these things are happening. Now, I say this because it's very important. Please remember, if you pick anything from here, this should be one of the things. Ask for discernment and wisdom when it comes to who you tell your problems. Because not everything that glitters is gold. I was of the perception that because this woman wasn't an alcoholic, she was a present mom to her kids. She had once told me that if all she had to do was give her kids water and sugar, she was going to struggle with her kids till the end. I had this picture perfect version of a mother when it came to her. But it turned out to be one of the worst things I did, going to her and running to her. Because what I overlooked was the fact that despite my mom being an alcoholic, she was not crazy. My mom being a heavy drinker didn't mean that she was crazy. And so over time, I overlooked every time she would complain about someone. And so anytime my mom would tell me, there's something about this person I'm not comfortable with, or this person did A, B, and C, I would shun my mom off as, she's just drunk, she's just talking. But she's still old enough to have some level of wisdom to know why she's telling me, stay away from this person. And at some point, they had stopped being friends. They were not close. My mom had talked to me about how, she had betrayed her in certain ways. But you see, because I was so attached to her and she had this clean image, in my head, I didn't have any reason to suspect that she would have any malicious intentions towards me. And so when I ran and told her this thing and she advised me to go to church, seek God, which I did. I remember going to church, and at the time I went to the same church she used to worship in Karen. I'm trying to find God. And one day this woman just invites me over to her house to teach her daughter, give her some music classes. And she had a guest coming. And this guest was a friend of hers who'd come from the States. She's a well-known musician in Nairobi. She's been in the Kenyan scene for a while. Makiu, about 20 at the time, 21. So she's in her mid-30s. So you're looking at these people and you're like, these are older women I need to associate with that can advise me, help me, and guide me. and you innocently, having not had mentorship and good mentorship, I don't know what that is supposed to look like, what I should sieve, and learning to just discern. Because anywhere I'm given love, I'm ready to just run to. And so she introduces me to this woman and is like, this is my friend, and she's also in the music industry like you. She's a great singer. Her husband is a producer. You also need a church community. They're Christians. You need to start walking with people who not only align with where you want to head spiritually, but also in terms of life, you have nobody, no family. So musically, they can guide you. They can become a family. You get that picture. And yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, look at God, please. Be careful when you start saying, look at God, look at God. Ask God to show you the difference of what He has brought to you and what He hasn't. So I was there, shangwe na vigelegele, look at God. Now I have a family. I meet the husband as well. They're ready to just take me under their wing, mentor me, guide me, give me a community with the rest of the people that were part of their group. It wasn't, they didn't have a church per se, like the church building as you'd expect, but it was more of a community of so many people who worship together, fellowship together, do events together, just support each other, even in the smallest of day-to-day life things like babysitting for each other, shopping for each other, paying rent for each other, just buying fuel for each other. And kidogo kidogo, I find myself, in this, confidently, I will say in this cult. Cult, because what I experienced there was, I wouldn't even wish what this woman put me through mentally on even the guy who assaulted me. That is how bad it messed me up. Now, I'm thinking that a guy raping me, kidnapping me, holding me hostage, stalking me, and not getting justice is bad. Until now you meet someone like this who will mess with you mentally. And let me tell you, I'm always saying, I've learned that I'm good at handling physical pain, but emotional pain, mental strain. And then on top of that, using spirituality, which is the one thing we run to when we are at the end of the road. You use God and incorporate God in all that. It will finish you, my friend. So she became my mentor. She took me up. I would call her Auntie So-and-so. And she and the husband took me under their wing. So basically what would happen is that there was like a sonship tree covering happening. So this person and her husband were like my spiritual covering. So I used to call the husband my spiritual dad or father. And then he has a spiritual father, the both of them, yeah? Then that spiritual father is a spiritual father, like that. So there are different people with different spiritual fathers. And she got to know about my story. This woman who was my mom's friend told this woman that I met about my story, and she seemed to empathize with me and was, encouraging me, like, we'll even be going to court with you. We're going to help you this journey. We'll introduce you to which lawyer. And, we're going to pray with you. We need to get into fasting and praying. We need to ask God to show you, because nothing is a coincidence. Now, please understand, at this point, my mental frame is at a place where this traumatic thing has happened. So I am willing to do anything to just heal. And so even if you're going to tell me that God has said, let's bomb State House, and that's the only way you can convince me, this is gonna get better, you really don't think I'm not gonna do it. Because I'm at a vulnerable place to be manipulated, and manipulated a good one. So I ended up moving, even in terms of houses. I joined the fellowship. I met other people I knew. I met so many people in this fellowship, in this cult. I met even musicians in the Nairobi scene that I knew, most of which were under this particular spiritual father because they were a couple. And I don't know why I didn't think it was a red flag in the beginning, that why is it that all of us young people in this fellowship and spiritual covering, we're all just musicians? Because it feels like you're just collecting, instrumentalists, singers, and musicians all around. Like, that should have been a red flag, of course. And I don't know why till date that was, but it seemed like they were willing to mentor us young people in the music industry. But at the same time, they had so many acquaintances and people they were linked to in other countries, in the States and different places. And so I got into a space where I was seeking God so much that this woman became the one person who would prophesy everything to me. So, and she tells me that God is saying that everything that's happened to you, is because of, always quoting James 3:16, I believe, where there is selfishness and something like that, double-mindedness and all that. There is instability, something of the sort. And so that scripture was said to me so much that I started believing it. I started believing I'm so selfish, I'm so lukewarm, so I need to delve into God 100%. So God has said, quit your job, you quit your job. God has said, do this, you do this. And this wasn't just with me, it was with other people. I saw the whole thing of God has said, give your home. People are doing what? God has said, give your car. A young lady, one of the two young ladies that I lived with at some point, they were both Americans and they had been given prophetic words to give up everything in the States and move here to Kenya, to come and go through what they call the wilderness, because the Israelites needed to be in the wilderness to mature and suffer and all that before they get to Canaan. So they needed to come and do that, go through the wilderness here. One of them gave up this life that, to me as a Kenyan, because she was in the Hollywood scene, it just seemed crazy. But you see, anytime I'd try and question it in my head, like some things are not adding up, I would think that I'm just selfish and very double-minded and I don't understand how the kingdom of God works. And because I'm new to it, maybe I need to just shut up, relax, and. And so I was pulled away and isolated completely from the music industry, from my acquaintances in the music industry, from my friends, from my family. I was moved from home, and I ended up moving to Valley Arcade, and I was living with these guys because that's what the prophet of the Lord said. That is what God spoke. I feel like people should have seen this even back when it happened to Esther Runga. And that was one of the biggest things that hit me when it happened to me. I remember I was actually a statistic that always wondered, this chick, is a prominent lawyer and journalist. Like, how did she not see that? I never got it until it happened. And that was the one thing that kept coming at the back of my mind. She fell into a similar situation and all that sad stuff that happened after that even cost them their child, I believe. It's when it comes to matters of the Lord and just binding or connecting people into their spirituality, speaking over their lives and all these certain issues, similar issues, I ask people, don't joke around with that, because that means you're playing with people's hope. And when you don't have hope as a human being, what do you have left? Because that's just the opening you have for the divine to give you the strength you need and the resilience to keep going, believing in something greater. And you see, for me, even in that moment of abuse, thinking that man was going to kill me, what was the one thing that came to my mind? God. And just saying my last prayers and begging God to get me out of it. And now I believe there's a reason why when people are on their deathbed, some people just give their life to Christ. It doesn't matter how they lived. because you're trying to believe in a better and higher thing than you. And that is what these people were slowly manipulating and ruining. I'll speak for myself. Slowly by slowly. This woman knew that I had been abused. She had done her background on me. She knew I was alone. She knew I didn't have any support. She knew that, I was at a place that was super vulnerable. For her to pray in, play auntie, and then since she's linked to somebody I trusted, it's going to make it easier for me to trust that, she has the best interest, when it comes to me at heart. And that wasn't the case. And there were so many red flags, just to be able to even give you guys an idea of how much it was so out there that this was a problem, but I couldn't see it. One day I approached this woman and the husband and I asked them, so what's happening? I need to get back to work. I need to get back to performing, to working, to grinding and all that. And of course you'll be used for the preacher. The Lord says, you're chasing vanity. What is music? Music. You can only sing. You're not spending enough time with God. You're not giving God enough time. You need to chase God. Let him feel you. And all the desires of your heart are going to just manifest. Okay, so please, what do you think I should do? Because at the same time, the not working, not having friends, just knowing only these people, and then the court case and all that, shadadadada. I'm depressed, manzi. And I'm still drinking. Chini ya maji, I'm still drinking. And this person tells me, God spoke to me last night and told me that you need to go to your auntie. Now, the woman who introduced me to them, that was my mom's friend. You need to go and spend at least 3 days with her in prayer and all that. Quickly, Shyro, I want the best for myself. Let's go. Pack. I'm off back to Ngong. I go to this woman's house and to spend some time with her. The first day, nothing happened. Second, so on the third day, she tells me we need to do some prayers and cleansing. Because at this point now, I've been made to believe that probably I have some spirits that are happening and hovering over me. We need to cast these demons out. So we're in the living room and we're praying. And she's praying over me, praying over me. And for me, until today, and that's how I've always been, I'm not the best at that religious church politically presented way of praying, where you have to be so authentic and eloquent with your words, and you know how to arrange them and call the Holy Spirit and all that. I prefer sitting down in my quiet time and talking to God the way I'm talking to you right now. That works for me. And so while in the moment of prayer, she tells me, the Lord is telling me that you need to speak in tongues. I'm like, well, auntie, I don't know how to pray in tongues. She's like, no. Just anything that comes to your head. Just say anything that comes to your mind. And I'm like, these people are only saying weird stuff in church when I've heard guys praying in tongues. But I don't know what to say. So I just start mumbling and fumbling over my tongue and just repeating whatever it was I was saying. And I'm going in deep and I'm going in deep and I'm going in deep. Voila, I open my eyes and this woman has a camera on me and is recording me. And I'm like, why are you recording me? And she's like, relax. I just want to send it to Auntie, Prophet. And just show her that you're making progress and all that. And still, my heart, I remember my tummy just clenching. My heart just felt disturbed. And it just felt wrong. It felt wrong. And still, I convinced myself that the only reason I'm feeling like that is because I'm trying to fight what God wants for me. That's what I believed. And you see, it's because I'm in such a desperate place to heal and to get better and to recalibrate and get my life together. I'm willing to take up anything. And they knew that. And it seems so politically correct. From the outside, well put and so arranged. I had no reason to doubt anything, So I believed, like I'd been told, a lot of the things that were happening to me were my fault because of the things, the way of life I used to live. So I was ready. Let's change my dressing. Let's change the friends I have. Oh, no more relationships. In fact, men, no this, no that, no that. But the one thing that I was still unable to beat, despite how many hands were placed on me, was alcohol. The more I stayed in it, the more I was so disturbed by the things I was seeing in this community, the more I needed to drink. And so one day, I think I was just fed up, just being placed in a situation where they have events, they're doing events, and everybody is going, all these people are performing, they're doing their thing. And I was never invited, not even to one. I would be made to sit at home and babysit every other person's child. And I'm thinking, why? Like, why am I the one who doesn't get to do the things I love and all that? And so one day when I tried to, like, not confront her, but talk to her about it, and we were at a dinner table with everybody present, she told me, to my face that these things were my fault and everything is happening because I probably don't listen. I'm not paying attention to God. And it's as if God, I felt as if what she was insinuating was God is punishing me, you know? And when you hear someone tell you something like what happened to me is my fault, and then you're a woman of God, I believe you. And I tell you, it broke me so much that when I went to visit um, somebody who was also a part of this with us, I went to her house to visit her and I told her I wasn't feeling well. And she told me, just go to the medicine cabinet and grab something. I went and stole all the pills I could get my hands on and put them in a Ziploc bag. I've never known if she figured it out, but I took all these pills. Then I went to the chemist. I bought Piriton. So I figured if a Piriton or two can make you sleep, then if I swallow like 50, probably they'll just kill me or stop my heart. So I went and bought so many more Piritons, and I went to the house where I was staying with these young ladies, and I took all these pills I could find as well, put them in a Ziploc bag, and I just told God, you know what? Jesus, you know my heart. Deuces. I'm tired. I'm tired. All these things have happened. Time is moving. Nothing seems to be working. I'm depressed. I already can feel the uncomfortability of my drinking because these guys knew I drank and they saw the way I would drink. And my spiritual father, I would tell that was a way of coping. And it had been floated that I need to stop and all that, and I'm unable to, and I don't know why yet because I don't have the knowledge of this being a disease. And I was just done, and I was like, this woman is so mean. This wasn't the first time. She had said so many things to me over time that broke me so much, but I think that particular day, that was just the one that hit hard, and painting the picture of even my background kind of being my fault. And I swallowed all those pills, and if I'm not wrong, they couldn't have been less than 200. And I just swallowed all of them with a vodka because I was always hiding vodka everywhere. And I was like, I'm done. And I put myself to sleep. So I wake up. This is now the next day, and I'm a bit confused because I'm thinking, am I in heaven or in hell? And if someone kills themselves, they say you go to hell. But is hell like a replica of your earth? Because everything now is familiar. And now I'm high because all these pills, I'm now higher than high, and the alcohol still is in my system. It sucked. I mean, I would have preferred even the hell where they paint, the picture of the fire and all that, or jail or something. Yani, the same people, same things. No, 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 no. So these two young women, the American women, walk in and they're concerned. They're like, hey, what's up? Because, of course, they could tell I was high. I just told them, I was like, you know what? I tried to end it yesterday. I don't get why I'm still here. I swallowed all those pills. The Ziploc bag is there. I drank all the vodka, and I don't get, but I was still so high. So, of course, they ended up sharing what I'd tried to do with these people. And what was said to me, the report they gave me, now this is Uko at the end when the whole thing blew up, when now we could finally tell each other the truth of this person would say this behind your back or that. I was told that this woman particularly, because I just seemed to have a problem with her more than the husband. The husband was a bit more quiet. Doesn't make him any better though, but she said that, if leaving this world would probably have been the best thing that I could have done for everyone around me. Yeah, and it's probably it should have been a good thing that it happened, because I'm clearly just a burden to everyone around me. And oh, those words were heavy. And still, I feel like now I'm at a point where I can see the red flags, because what Christian are you to? Even I have never wished death, let alone misery in that kind of way, to somebody who held me hostage. What kind of a Christian or a woman of God are you to even utter words like that? And when I was told that's what she said, I was appalled, you know? But I think deep down, I always knew she's just not a good person. And you see, the manipulative way she'd go about it was when they isolated me, they also used to tell me not to tell people I'm associated with them. So I never used to tell people I know them. Because they were like, people don't like us. People think we're bad people, but, we're all about helping others. So I thought it was a typical case of people being jealous of them. I can't say I had the privilege to understand 100% why they did what they did or why they were doing what they were doing. I can't tell you I have closure 100%. But what I can tell you is that in the end, people are hungry for power. People are hungry for leaving a legacy or being looked at as those who started a legacy and created something that was generational and continuous and all that, and having status, being looked at a certain way. I feel like when I got to know the bit I knew about them and their background and how much of messing up they messed up with different people that I finally had conversations with, it sounds like there's some level of delusion to me, honestly, that especially this woman had, because she probably lived in her head believing that finding Christ was a good way to like make up for a lot of the harm she had done, and then maybe mentoring other people. And let's just say for a second that she really believed that she was mentoring us and the way she was going about it was the right way. At the end of the day, there was so much that they gained from people compared to the people gaining from them, at least from what I learned in the end. People lost so much money. I sat with people who are crying about, they lost their money. There's a chick who mentioned about her inheritance and all that. I don't know, giving away cars and houses and I don't know, rent and money and land and just different things. And what were they doing with all this? I can't tell you for sure, I know 100%. But I believe from the few people I talk to, it's that you're convinced to give what you should give to help the kingdom of God operate. She never really put herself in my shoes to see the damage that she was causing me. Even with just speaking the words that she spoke over my life. Let's leave my house. Let's leave my job. Let's leave me earning a living and everything that I lost in the process for those 3 years. What about my mental health, especially knowing what had happened to me for 3 years, completely isolated? And that was the beginning of also so many people in my industry thinking that I no longer wanted anything to do with creative, spaces and all that, turning down jobs and just believing that if I take a job, God is gonna curse me because God has said there's no working for this season and there's no doing A, B, and C. Fortunately or unfortunately, not sure which is which, I never got to the end of getting to see what the end game was with me. And I until today, I don't know, because we've never really seen each other, or let alone talk, but we interact with the same people. And so that I've never really understood why, but for some reason they just cut me off from those music channels, kabisa. And now without music, because you remember I told you that music and alcohol were the two things. Now there's no music, so it's just alcohol. So I'm like, kaende, pombe na mimi. Wake up in the morning, whip some coffee, vodka. I'm doing my chores or whatever, vodka. We're fasting and praying. My friend, you people, yes, I'm fasting. I won't eat and I'm not taking anything, but vodka lazima. I'm trying to work out or whatever, vodka. I've been invited for the fellowship or those morning prayers that sometimes we do before we go to the gym together, and we're being taught how to build kingdom living and whatever. Vodka, first of all, because that is the only thing that seems to be calming me, and giving me some sense of peace, which clearly was false peace. It wasn't even peace at all. And had I tried to really, really poke and find out what is this really, because my heart and my spirit are of the sense that this is not what I'm thinking it is. This community, this church, it's not what it is. I was scared that I might find out that I'm right, and then I'm back to square one, which means I've lost 3 years of my life. I was scared that it was gonna blow up and I lose everything, and by everything at that point is just this community, which felt like the only thing I had left. And because I was scared of just losing that, I would rather have lived in the bubble, that I created for myself with these people. But by God's grace, don't joke around with the Father. We had been signed up for these classes. That it was pretty much a program for 12 weeks, and that was in Karen. So the classes were every Saturday from morning till lunchtime. However, on that 8th week, instead of the class being on a Saturday, it was pushed to a Friday evening. So we go for the class. And while we did the class, I remember all the people, because there were so many people, even people we didn't know we met there. Some of the guys from our group started walking out one by one, one by one. And so at some point, I was curious. I'm like, why are all these guys just going out and the class is ongoing? Let me go see what's happening. Udaku too. When I went outside, my friend, the one thing I saw was the first person that was crying is the toughest person I knew in our group. Hardcore. She was like Wonder Woman. I don't know which tough character we know. She was like a female version of Superman. Very unbothered, very powerful. Her persona, her personality. When I saw this chick just, weeping, I didn't need anybody to tell me why she was crying. Deep down in my heart, I think I knew, and I'd known for a long time. I just never wanted to admit it to myself. And so, that's when they ended up telling me, oh, Shyro, sit down for this one. This thing is a scam. This thing is a cult. We've been lied to, duped. People have been lied to. This person and that person and the other, and their siblings and husbands, whatever. It's been a lie, and we've just been used for whatever purpose. People had lost so much. We ended up being, I tell you, it was a movie. We were put in a car. Instead of going home and everybody going back to their respective places where they were living, guys came together and decided to call somebody else and call them to help them out get out of there. They treated it so seriously that now I was wondering, Kwani, how bad is this? Because the girls were, the two white ladies were like, we need to get our passports, we need to get, I don't know what, we need to get out of this country. What if they decide to not let us go? I don't know what. And so they end up, riding in one car, getting their clothes, packing quickly, leaving. They'd even painted a picture for me that these people might come to where we stay in the morning and put grills on the windows and decide, now that you know, we're locking you guys in here, hakuna mali mnaenda. And I'm thinking, can they be that cruel? Can they be that crazy? That is what was going through these people's heads. And so they all ended up packing and leaving. Shyro, wapi. I still don't want to believe it. So I convinced myself, I'm going to stay in this house. I'm waiting for them to come. Then they can tell me with their own mouths that it's true. I need to hear it from this woman for me to believe it. And so all these people like ride into the night and go to Westlands to this particular person's home, somebody else that wasn't necessarily part of this. And the next morning, this person and the husband, together with the sister and the husband, all come together. They're asking me all these questions about where all these people went to. Of course, I didn't give them all the details as the others had requested. And when I tried to poke and ask, what was painted to me was that, you know, it's not what it is, what they think, blah, 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 downplaying it. But I'm not convinced at this point. So they asked me to stay in the house as they were going, I don't know, to do whatever they were going to do, then they'll be back. The moment they left, my instincts just told me, go to Junction. So I don't know if I was going to Junction Mall to take a walk, but I knew I was going to look for alcohol first. But I was going to take a walk, and when there, I bumped into an old friend that I hadn't seen in a while. And we were talking. He asked me to get in the car. We're just chilling and drinking at the parking lot. And he asks me, yo. So I explained to him that story in the shortest way possible and paint the picture. And this guy just told me, if these other people have gone somewhere else and they're asking you to at least join them and find out the whole truth, the least you can do is go hear them out. Then when these other people come back, you can hear them out too. So I call all these youngins that had run away and I tell them, okay, we can meet at the junction. They tell me they'll meet me at Java so that they could explain to me what they found out is going on. So I'm ready. Now don't forget, my brain is still very PTSD moded. So when they come, they ask me to get in the car. I'm wondering why. I thought we were going to Java. So when I get in the car sped off. So I'm panicking now. I'm thinking, oh my God, the anxiety in me. Have they come to kidnap me or do something bad to me? I'm told, relax. So we go to this particular place and I meet other people that were in this cult that I wasn't necessarily with in the same house. You understand me? And there's a huge screen where there's a Zoom meeting that's supposed to start. And the spiritual father to this person and the husband plus her family members, he appears. And then that person's spiritual father as well. So two other authorities over them. And they ask questions and are like, we are so saddened to hear that this and this has happened in Kenya with our community in Kenya. We didn't know that these people are conducting themselves in this way and this way and that way. We want to make it clear that we were not a part of what they were doing. While they were under our covering, we had no idea this is how some people are being exploited. This is what the picture that was painted in terms of what sonship under them should be like. They apologized, and then they got people now giving their stories. And so when we found out everything we found out, people were crying and talking about they lost. Some of the nastiest things that were happening between some of them that I had no idea were happening in a roof that some of us are under. Finding out that my spiritual father was sleeping with one of the sons being one of the women, young girls, one of the young girls that I was living with and I was a part of this thing with. And this is supposed to be a spiritual father. And he's married and his wife is present. And from what I heard, this was happening in their own home. So how messed up and how mad could you be that you bring me in as a son, make me believe in Christ, and you're guiding me and mentoring me and exploiting a young woman like that? It blew up, and after that Zoom meeting with everybody in that room, all I remember doing is going upstairs to the rooftop, and I was trying to cry, but I can't cry because it still hasn't hit home yet. I think it's the shock, but though I haven't gotten into the emotional roller coaster. It's the hard, brutal shock. Shyro, I have nowhere to go. I literally have nowhere to go. I have nowhere to start from. I don't have a home. I have nothing, just like my stuff, like my own home stuff and all that. But I don't have a job. I don't have anywhere to start from. I have no income. I don't know what to do. One of the spiritual fathers in the States tried to sort out how these young women from the States, the two white women, would go back to the States. He helped me out with another friend who also was kind of in a similar situation to me, a guy who also had nowhere to go because his background with his family was similar to mine, no relationship. So he helped us out and literally fronted us, some cash and was like, goodwill, find a place, start from somewhere. I started kind of believing that I probably am very messed up. And of course, I knew how my family handled things wasn't the right way. But a part of me started thinking, Tamimi, I probably have a few loose screws up here. There's something wrong with me. Or I'm actually cursed. And I find a place, I move away, move into my own apartment, I start afresh again. Now, of course, my living situation has downgraded because the way I was living, everything I had, all that gone, and I'm so bitter. Now the bitterness now catapulted my drinking times 100. And then don't forget, because now I don't have an income, now I have reason to just drink anything, literally anything and everything that I can find or afford. I believe at this point now I was just surviving. I wasn't living. I was depressed that any good thing that was brought my way by anybody who had good intentions, I didn't trust anybody. I believed everybody was out to get me. And this whole situation felt like the woman who introduced me to these people, who was my mother's friend. Since she fell out with my mom, I strongly really came to believe that this was like an agenda. So that might have been the end game when it came to me in particular. That, you know, when it comes to parental issues and whatever beef they had as adults, who's the easiest person to poke at and hurt you the most? Let me touch your child, you know? And I know she knows that what she did to me was the easiest way to probably hurt my mother. And when I reached out to her to confront her about it, she just downplayed it and acted like she did nothing wrong, like it was my fault, after all. And she was not even remorseful about it. And I just told her, karma is a big B because it will catch up with you. And you move around claiming what you're a prophet, like all these other people, and you use the name of God and all that to manipulate people. Your time will also come. You keep riding on your high horse where you are. But the Lord that I serve, He will avenge for me. And I know that everything I've lost, I will recover and 10 times fold. And maybe in that moment when I said it with anger. I don't even think I believed it. I just said it, you're just trying to say and poke at this person. But now I do believe it. And I was just now at this point surviving. I remember I took a trip to Uganda for a month to recalibrate and live with some friends there, and forget this thing. But it didn't help. All I did was just go there, drink even more, drink so much waraji and mess up. I'm traumatized in Nairobi now. Let me go trauma in Kampala. I tried talking about it. I tried telling people I had a problem. I tried telling people around me that I was depressed. But I think anytime I would tell this story, or at least bits of it, because I hadn't shared it the way I do now, I could already see the way people look at me like I'm crazy. Like it's a story from some movie that I picked up. And then because I'm constantly drunk, so when I tell you, you'll just assume this is just like a drunkard that is just giving some story. And nobody seemed to take me serious. And so I thought to myself, anyway, nobody cares. I had a friend, and she was she's somebody I met in that season of my life, and she became a very close friend of mine. And I remember there's a time I was so depressed for a month straight. I wasn't leaving the house. I wasn't showering. I wasn't eating. I wasn't doing anything. This girl will come to my house. I'm not even opening the door for her. She just keeps throwing food and snacks through the opening of the door and just telling me, get out of it, snap out of it, don't let these people win, don't let anybody win. Don't forget, I still have the case in court. So all this is eating me up altogether. I became so vengeful and so bitter that I contemplated at some point going and finding that person I'd been told could smoke out the guy that assaulted me to come and smoke now this woman. And for you to understand how hurt I was, I even thought about it and I was like, I could actually kill you and kill your children and finish all of you. Like, but deep down still, I'm just saying it out of anger. I don't have the guts to do it. But sometimes I would fantasize about it. And I'm like, if I could find a gun, I would pop her and do A, B, and C and all these crazy thoughts. And then after that, I feel guilty. I go back and I'm repenting and telling God, please forgive me. That is not my heart and that's not who I am. And this friend of mine helped me snap out of the depression. Finally, she got through to me simply because one day she came to my house to bring me dinner and I refused to open the door and she slept outside my door in the cold and was like, I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to kill yourself while you have something to live for and I'm here for you. In the morning, I realized she'd slept there. I woke up, I opened the door. She tried to encourage me. She was such a good friend and a trainer, and we'd work out together, just do positive things together. But this girl kept really encouraging me, pushing me. That boyfriend that I mentioned earlier was still a friend of mine and still held me down very, very strongly. Um, I tried getting into relationships that just didn't work, but fast forward, I've become such a crazy alcoholic. I am now getting to realize I have a serious problem. Or rather, let's say I have a problem. I didn't know how serious, but I knew now I have a problem, a drinking problem. And by 2019, I've spoken to this friend of mine. I've told her I think I might be one of those people that needs to go to rehab, get clean, and get sober. My drinking is not normal. I'm seeing the cycle of my mom's life repeating over me. I'm seeing all these things, and I'm just like, I need to change. I don't know what I need. I need healing, but I don't know how. I was so desperate to look good for people on the outside and for people to not see the mess and the storm that had happened to me, to create this facade, even on social media, and remain looked at in a certain way that I was willing to do anything and everything. And I tried, of course, getting clean, and I tried getting sobering up, and you have moments when you promise the person next to you, I promise you, babe, like today is the last one. Then you make it through today till tomorrow lunchtime, and then something happens, you're triggered, or just the cravings come and you can't make it till evening. And then in the evening, this person is like, no, what did you do? You promised me. And from that person's perspective, because they don't understand the disease in addiction, they're looking at you as a joker. Now, on top of that, I'm a woman. Let's talk about stigmatization when it comes to alcoholism with women. You're a man, you drink a 1.2 liter vodka. You're a hero. I drink the same. I'm a mess. I was so scared of letting go of that pain because I didn't know without those things, what do I have? At least if I keep drinking, I have a justification for it. I was assaulted, I was in a cult, I lost everything, nee. All these are good reasons for me to justify my drinking. So if we talk about healing and letting go of all that, what else am I gonna use to justify that without all these issues at the core of it all? I'm just a sick person. I'm just an alcoholic. I'm just an addict, you know? And so I ended up just delving deeper into a hole. Now I'm not just doing alcohol. I, I got caught up in crazy moments when partying or being called out of town for trips with people, friends, associating with people, and I'm now doing cocaine. Not on my own when I'm like home, like I'm really looking for cocaine, but when I'm at these parties, exotic places and all that, and with all these people who clearly can afford it, if there's coke, I'm snorting it, I'm doing it. If there are amphetamines, I'm doing them. If there's Molly, there are things I did I don't even know. I can't even tell you the names. Because you see, I'm so drunk that now anything that's being offered to me, I just want to try. And it's because I was in zombie mode. I just wanted to, just go about life. And I deteriorated so much that I downgraded not just in on my thinking capacity, because that's affected, not just financially, not just emotionally, but also when it comes to the caliber of friends. So it had gotten to a point where I'm now from, a place where I'd have so much booze in my house. My house is like a bar. To now I'm buying zingers here and there when I can. To now I'm buying halves when I can. To now I'm buying quarters when I can. To now, have you ever heard of a quarter over quarter? Where you go for the quarter, then you ask that person to quarter it for you. And you're literally just buying alcohol for like 70 shillings or 80 shillings. Because if you haven't been paid or you haven't had a job that's been anytime recently, you're drinking that nonsense, which is not the cheapest of spirits you can find just to keep going. I even started drinking keg, black jugs with people. Oh my god, I and just finding spaces where we get kegs, and then we now add those to quarters in the kegs and all that. And I'm just thinking, I just need the alcohol because when I'm now withdrawing it so bad, I just need to, to at least stabilize. I ended up messing up at work. I messed up so many friendships. I pushed away so many people. So many people that loved me and genuinely tried to support me. Other people I pushed away because you don't want to be told the hard truth. And when you tell me I have a problem, as much as I do know I have a problem, I feel like you're trying to attack me and show me that you're better than me. And so since you think you're better than me, just go your way and I'll go mine. Let me find other people who are like me. So I'd find myself at some point, I lived in Dagoretti Corner, and I would leave my house and go to like some Jabba bays where guys are just chilling, and some guys in my hood that I knew. And if I have some cash, I'm buying them liquor, and I just want to chill with them. Because at this point, those are the people that I can drink with that are not judging me. And since they're worse off than me, from the societal perspective, if you're drinking with touts and Jabba people, street guys, and people tend to look at you as a different way as a woman in society. At least you've tried to keep yourself somewhere. So you feel like you're better than them. So you feel like you're the one helping them. But you're just in the same pit as them. And I thank God for preservation because I didn't get to a place where I ran mad, even though I felt some days like that.